This has Habs fans absolutely fired up, as a recent report from Marc-Antoine Gaudin reveals Mike Matheson had a long discussion with Habs management about his future with the team, and the implications on the Habs going forward has a lot of Habs fans up in arms about what it means for the future of the Habs decor. We got to talk about the report on Mike Matheson, but it's not just that, Jesse. There's been a lot of talk recently about a certain player's name in the draft linked to Montreal, and that is Brady Martin, who is a big physical elite 2C potential player with a cannon of a shot. He lays the body a ton, and there are multiple analysts saying that this is a perfect fit for Montreal. And it's not just that talking about the draft. We have further reports that Montreal is back to asking some of the hardest questions, and it's just getting funny. We got to get into all this on this episode of Habs Digest, and I think we'll start there, Jesse. I mean, we know the Habs, look, they have a penchant for wanting to do this, asking these hard questions. We've seen those videos of the questions we ask these potential draftees from Montreal, and they're back at it again, as Anthony Maltzino tweets out that the Habs are once again as rough as usual when it comes to interviewing the prospects. We're testing the character of a lot of guys with different questions, and, for example, one question, Jesse, you run into Nick Suzuki at the casino at 3 a.m, and Marty St. Louis asks you about it the next day. What do you answer? There's stuff like this is absolutely hilarious. I kind of love it, but I also find it kind of crazy at the same time.
For sure. And just kind of continuing that history of Dr. What was his first name? Dr. Scott. That we had
David
no
Scott.
relation to Michael Scott of The Office fame, even though it kind of feels like at times some wacky questions. But I mean, at the same time, you know what? The Habs have been doing such a good job of drafting lately. I'm okay with it. Ask the hard-hitting questions. And for sure, we know that, skill is still important in all this. It's not like they're completely forgetting and, it's all about attitude and everything. But, they are valuing it, very highly, because they're saying, okay, those physical skills, we can work on that over time. We develop it, but it's really some of those soft skills with, that attitude. It's that's really at the culture of the Habs right now, right? It's they're just bringing guys on board that obviously are amazing hockey players. That's a prerequisite. But from there, the differentiating thing is that attitude going forward. So for me, I'm all there for it. Josh, quickly, what's your answer to this question? Quick things.
My answer to this is hey, I mean, if I saw someone online say this and I'm seeing it, look, I can't give an answer because, if I saw him there, it means I was there too. And I think that was a really good answer that I saw online. I think that was Reddit. So credit to whoever said that. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing here. It's a trap question, but it's something funny the Habs like to do. So we got to talk, we got to talk a lot more drafts as we get towards it. But listen, Dr. David Scott, this guy's probably going to come back up one or more times as we head into it. But speaking of the draft, Jesse, look, there's a lot of talk about Montreal and what they're planning to do in this draft. And there's been some talk of moving up, and there's been some teams that have been shopping their picks. We got reports of Montreal interviewing even guys as high as Porter Martone and Caleb Desnoyers doing their due diligence. But there's Dr. David Scott. But there's one guy that I saw, I think the Hockey News Karine Haynes article today talked about Brady Martin. I've seen, I think even Anthony Maltzino recently, a month or two ago, mentioned his name. He's a name that's been circulating in terms of guys that fit the Habs bill right now, and that's Brady Martin. Now, he's listed as 178 on Hockey DB, Jesse, but he's 200 pounds. He's 6 feet, 200 pounds. I'm going to roll the highlights again. He has a nasty one-timer. He's one of the best physical players in this draft, and he has 2C potential. Look at this big hit he laid for Team Canada. And then you have this as well, just Hockey Prospect Radio from SiriusXM. They tweeted it out. 6 feet, 200 pounds, aggressive, physical, strong shot, underrated hands, 72 points in 57 games. Highlight his potential as an elite second-line center. And when you're defining a guy that fits exactly what Montreal's looking for, Jesse, I feel like there's not many players that may be available in Montreal's range of picks better than Brady Martin, even if we may have to trade up a couple picks to do that, because honestly, it seems like something like that might even happen.
Yeah, Brady Martin, great hockey name again. It's and we're seeing him in a range for sure of anywhere from 6 to about 22. He brings a really interesting skill set where it's really simple, effective, direct, north-south, brings that intensity, but with that solid shot and some pretty good production, even relative to his draft class. It's pretty high up there. And even in very similar production to even a guy like Owen Tippett in his draft year. So definitely showing some really strong potential there. Can we just say that if the Habs keep either 16th or 17th overall, one of their first round picks at least, they're going to get at least one of those is going to be somebody that plays a physical game, but that also can score. It seems like the Habs have just really identified that, and I'm all here for it, Josh. We know last night, what a physical game that was between the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. I think bringing on a guy who really kind of fits that bill. Again, we've seen 178 all the way to 200 pounds. Like, he must have gained a lot of weight very quickly, but like that is amazing. Like, that is menacing if that is the case, because like he was hitting with like a lot of speed, a lot of force for that size. Once he starts adding to that frame, which it may have looked that he has done leading up to the scouting combine, that's going to make for a really interesting kind of combination along with that shot, of course.
Yeah, Montreal's going to really have to do their due diligence here, Jesse. And look, we've been talking about, like I said, trading up, because you might need to do that for Brady Martin. And honestly, wouldn't surprise me if he's one of these guys the Habs really value highly. But we've been interviewing everyone from, like, Misa, we're talking to Misa, talking to Schaefer, I believe, and all these other guys. But like, after the top, like, I don't know, certain amount of picks here, it's a pretty top-heavy draft, and then it falls off pretty significantly. Like, these mid-lottery picks, from what I've read, are not as projected to be as good as past years. Honestly, sometimes it's a bit of a crapshoot, but still, like, moving up in this draft to pick a guy you really like could work. And just a little note on his strength as well. He's a farm boy, and I thought this tweet from Scott Wheeler was really, really interesting. Brady Martin's not going to LA for the draft because he's staying home on the farm. There's seeding and shoring that he needs to do with his family, and his family wouldn't have been able to leave and come with him this time of year. So just another little note on the kind of guy he is as well. So very interesting stuff. That farm strength is no joke. So really, really interested in this guy. What do you think about Brady Martin as a potential target for Montreal? We're hearing a lot of names, but honestly, this one might just be the most enticing so far. But we got to switch gears a bit, Jesse, because we're back to talking about the current state of the Habs. Now, again, we got a lot of GMs, a bunch of people in Buffalo right now talking about many, many different things. But Mike Matheson was in Buffalo with Habs brass, and Marc-Antoine Gaudin revealed a very interesting detail here, and I'm going to show it. He said Mike Matheson spent about an hour and a half with Gorton and Hughes today in Buffalo. Now, he tweeted this last night, I believe. Look, they didn't necessarily have negotiations there, but Matheson is eligible to sign a contract extension on July 1st, because this is the final year of his contract coming up, and he'd like to come back and join the Habs again on an extension. And this has Habs fans very divided, split, fired up, might you say. Honestly, I'm seeing some people adamantly saying, no, I don't never want to see him on this team again, and some people saying, hey, bring him back for the right price. It's such an interesting topic of conversation, Jesse, because I feel like we're starting to come around on the idea of Matheson if we can control the price. I like him. I think he should stick around. You guys know that. I know a lot of people in the comments that you don't like Matheson. I think that's okay too. But I think there's a price that will work for everyone, Jesse. I'm just worried that if he wants an extension, I think people will be sticker shocked at the amount of money that it would come in at. And I don't know if Habs fans are ready for that, even if Matheson could be gotten for a reasonable deal.
It's complicated, even furthermore, considering that Kent Hughes was his former agent. There's a relationship there. That being said, Josh, it's like, just knowing like who we have, like with Hutson, with Guhle, with Engstrom coming up all on that left-hand side. For me, like Matheson's not like that third pairing guy. Like for me, if I'm Kent Hughes, I'm not signing like some sort of lengthy extension, just on my point, like for sure, maybe he can get a little bit better if he's like playing with like more of like a defensive first. I think that's first. Like if you maybe find him the right pairing, he's not playing as much. He's with like a natural right-handed guy. There is a situation. Like we definitely, like while I'm very skeptical about an extension, we still need to give credit that he was part of this team that helped make the playoffs ahead of schedule. That absolutely counts for something for Matheson, for Kent Hughes. That needs to come in the equation. That being said, it's like not just everybody gets a free pass just because we made the playoffs. Like this 1 year here, it's like, for me, it's some of the decision making, Josh, like just going back to like not wanting to pass the puck to Slafkovsky. I would argue even somewhat stifling maybe some of his progression and some of like the production you could have got out from him in that rookie year, especially on the playoffs. He doesn't seem like very much like of a clutch guy for me in the playoffs, letting those pucks kind of get behind him on the power play. Those once in a while, they're kind of okay to happen. After a while, when it becomes a habit, it's almost kind of unforgivable, right? Like imagine you're in the playoffs, you're in the Stanley Cup Finals, somebody passes the puck to Matheson at the blue line, he just lets it skip over his stick. It's just a lack of concentration. Like all the tools are there, right? But it's just for some reason, like can't put it all together. Like he's gonna get production. We know that, but it's just like those defensive liabilities. And again, where some of them are clockwork, where you just know, you're probably going to have that cross-seam pass right in front of the net with Matheson. That's been a huge issue for the Habs this year. And Mike Matheson, as a defenseman, as a vet on this team, is one of the guys charged the most for kind of handling that. So it's more of just like kind of those consistent things. And I don't feel like he's really a third pairing type of guy. Josh, like honestly, like I'm worried because I feel like he has a relationship with Kent Hughes being his agent, I feel like that's going to factor in. And that's the one thing. Like, I'm a big believer of Kent Hughes. I just don't want to see those personal relationships getting away of the business, which is running this hockey club in the best way possible.
Yeah, and I like to give the benefit of the doubt to Hughes and Matheson that they won't let it, but it's hard not to sometimes. But, like, look, even regardless of that, if I can just, try to articulate my thoughts in the couple minutes we have here, like, my problem is this. Mike Matheson, objectively, on the open market, deserves a great contract. And again, we're seeing Brock Nelson 7.5 per year. With the cap spiking, we're going to see higher AAV contracts. It's just going to be something we're going to see. And based on his performance, now this year was half, exactly half the points, almost exactly half in the other stats. Like, he had half as good an offensive season this year as last year. And I think that worked on the ice. But I think his defense was a lot better, right? And I think his penalty kill was great. He was one of the most used defensemen, one of the most used players in the NHL. I think it was like 6th or maybe it was 16th. Regardless, he was right up near the top in the league in minutes played. And I think Mike Matheson, in an 18-minute per game role, if you can play Guhle a bit more, is a lot better. The problem is, that's not what he is right now. He's played a lot of minutes. He's played a lot of PK. He has a 60-point season. So objectively, teams are going to be willing to give him a lot more money. And if Montreal offers him the money of an 18-minute per game bottom 4 defenseman, where I think Matheson will look a lot better while he plays a penalty kill, maybe second power play, Matheson's probably going to be like, well, I've earned more than that. So my issue here, Jesse, is that, like, objectively, looking at his stats, his production, he's going to be worth more than it makes sense to pay him. Like, I wouldn't want him for more than Cayden Guhle's cap hit. I don't think any fans would. But, I'm seeing some people say give him like $3.5 million for a few years. I just think that Matheson deserves more than that, especially with the cap spiking. But anyway, it's a tough situation. We're running out of time here. Got to hear what you guys have to say down below. What are your thoughts on Mike Matheson? I know there's going to be some people who agree that he should be back, some people who vehemently disagree, and I'm very excited to see what you have to say. But that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We got a lot more videos coming out very soon, a lot of draft reports, so click the subscribe button if you want to stay up to date. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.